Yes, no.
Okay.
Lisa.
Alright, so welcome everybody to the town board work session of Tuesday, November 2018. And the first thing on our agenda is we are going to jump right, we're not going to be the first thing on our agenda, we're gonna jump ahead. And we're gonna talk with Larry Ackman. And you're here with a proposal for a dedication for your wife, a tribute. And I met with you once before at what do you mean, Chapaka Station?
Yes.
Right. I thought you lived here at the time, to be honest with you, I didn't realize you were coming from the city.
Well, I lived here for 47 and a half years, and it was a totally positive experience. The kids went to the Chappaqua schools, they were great, they played sports on the Chappaqua teams. I was Little League baseball coach, and it was a great number of years, but I like to talk about my wife, because my wife would kill me if she knew I was here. For this
You know
reason.
this is televised, right?
It's okay. I hope so.
Nobody watches, don't worry, nobody watches
Nobody
this.
live here. Nobody lives here watches it.
I'll tell you what my wife did, and you can come to your own conclusions. She spearheaded she converted the commuters of this town into a political force, and that was effective in lobbying the governor, the state legislature, the federal government to get the electrification of the Upper Harlem Line. She was the co-chairman and then the chairman of the Upper Harlem Line Commuter Council. And it took 5 years of lobbying from 1979 to 1984 to get the money necessary to electrify the railroad. And then when the ceremonial train rode up the line in 1984, our representative in Congress, Dick Ottinger, got off the train at the Chappaqua Railroad Station and gave a speech and said, identified my wife as the most electrifying woman in northern Westchester. That's because she put in the third rail. Okay, so my wife is persistent beyond belief, and she never stopped working as a representative of this town to get the railroad electrified, because in 1970s, the early 70s, we had the most horrible commuting. The railroad was breaking down regularly. There were 2 fatal accidents, unfortunately, one of which was involving people we played tennis with every weekend, who lived on Annandale Drive. And they were killed in a crash in Grand Central Station. A railroad car crashed into a pillar, peeled off the roof of the car like a tin can, and they were decapitated. So it was a horrible thing, and my wife said, this is enough. Besides the fact I was late 3-4 times a week, coming home 2-3 hours later than the schedule said, after 2 fatal accidents, one of which people dove under a train. People got off the train in the middle of the tracks because it sat there for 40 minutes. They dove underneath another train, which was going in the opposite direction to avoid getting killed by it. So anyway, she went to work, and she took the usually stoic commuters who sit there and read their newspapers and explained to them that the railroad was continuously going downhill. And then, after she got the commuters to be a political force, she put together a petition campaign that got 8,000 signatures. Now, there's only 7,000 commuters who commute on the railroad north of North White Plains in those days, and these were real signatures. She went to every merchant in every town and explained to them that if they didn't improve the railroad, that their businesses were going to go downhill. So they finally got the job done, and I brought her back.
I know.
Because I have to tell you, service has been terrible.
Well, we need her
horrible.
back, we
Yeah.
need her back here in town. But there was never a word from the town of Newcastle, and I thought it would be a very nice thing, because, just to give you an example, when in '79 I had my house appraised, and it was worth $170,000. In 1984, after the railroad was electrified, I had my house appraised again because I needed to borrow money to pay for my kids' college. It was worth $610,000. Cutting down at 15 minutes when the train switched engines in North White Plains dramatically improved, not only improved the lives of everybody in Newcastle, because we had a shorter commute, but it also improved the value of the real estate in this town dramatically. And by doing that, I think that my wife had a significant impact on the quality of life in this town, to the point where there haven't been too many people in the history of the town of Newcastle who have done as much for the town as she did. And believe me, it was a daily job. It was 7-10 hours a day thinking about how we're gonna put a petition campaign together and put those petitions on Governor Carey's desk to embarrass him, because he promised to give us the money from the 1979 bond issue. When we supported the bond issue, he asked the commuter council to support the bond issue. And we supported the bond issue, and he said, well, we think that we're not going to give you the money, the electrification money is not gonna be available. And that's when we did the petition campaign, asking everybody to sign a petition to make him use that money. But I'll give you the last, the thing that really got this thing done. We orchestrated a meeting, and I was a little bit helpful with this, but with Lee Kreinler, who lived in the town. He was the #1 airline negligence lawyer in the United States. He attended a meeting with Dick Ravitch, who was the chairman of the MTA at the time. Ravitch wanted to eliminate all the railroad service north of North White Plains and substitute bus service. You know what kind of a disaster that would have been. So I got Lee Kreinler, and Dick Ravitch was an old customer of mine from the real estate business, so I knew him pretty well. And Jerry Roche, who may still live in the town. He's the chairman of Heidrick and Struggles, the executive search firm. And Jerry came to the meeting. And this meeting, we hoped to be able to get Ravitch to go ahead with the electrification project, which was very much threatened at that time because he was gonna put in buses. And Jerry Roche explained that he had taken home a French executive from a French company on the railroad to his home for a weekend, and the train broke down, and the French executive's conclusion was, I can't move my company to New York City if the railroad commuting is this bad. And then Lee Kreinler chimed in, and he said, if you have one crash on this railroad and 1,000 people are injured or killed, it'll cost more than the whole electrification project. So the end result of that meeting was that Dick Ravitch decided to go ahead with the electrification project. And they spent $135 million to buy new railroad cars, electrify, and the last thing that Ronnie had to do is there was no money for the high-level platforms. So she went to see Al Del Bello, Westchester County executive at the time, and got him to agree to put up $15 million for the high-level platforms. So that was done. So it was all over, the railroad work started, the renovation of the train line started, they ordered the new railroad cars, opening day came, and I told you what Dick Ottinger said, but after that, Governor Cuomo, the first Governor Cuomo, saw what my wife had done, and heard what my wife had done, and asked her to serve on the MTA board. And my wife was appointed to the MTA board and served for a 3-year term under Governor Cuomo. Now, you know the MTA board is a working board. It's not an honorary board, okay? So he wanted to have her on his side because $135 million for 7,000 commuters a day is a lot of money. And my wife convinced the governor to spend that money by proving that it was the economic vitality of New York City that was at stake. It wasn't just the convenience of 7,000 commuters a day. When that French company told Dick Ravitch that they wouldn't move to New York City because the commuting was so bad. That rang a bell in Dick Ravage's head. So I'm asking the town to consider honoring my wife. The town may never have known about it. She was given, I brought these in.
I think we have copies.
You do? You have it already?
It's in the packet.
Anything you've ever said, Bob,
Yep, we
Okay,
got
I
it.
didn't know, I didn't know.
I didn't get
But
it.
anyway,
CC.
I just wanna read one letter to you, which kind of summarizes it.
They have the proclamation. We have the editorials?
Board members have copies.
Yeah.
So I think Ronnie did a lot for the town. It'd be really nice if you would consider honoring her. And I was hoping that if you felt it was important enough, you might name the circle in front of the railroad station, Ronnie Ackman Circle. The one where you drive in and there's a circle.
Yeah, Memorial Circle.
The problem is, it's also our, a war memorial there,
It's a dedicated
and it's called
proclamation.
Memorial Circle, so.
Isn't that the piece right in front of the railroad station? I'm not talking about it, I'm just talking about the road that goes in.
Roadway.
Yeah.
As opposed to the actual little
I
park.
thought it was
Right.
appropriate because she did so much to improve the commuting. But whatever you feel would be nice or you're willing to do, I thought she had a tremendous impact on the town. She put together a great committee that included Chet Vogel, who was an engineer, and there was a guy named Frank Gorham who worked on the committee for a number of years. So she organized it and got it accomplished. So I'm hoping that you do something nice. Ronnie's gonna be, I think, thrilled when she finds out, but I didn't breathe one word of this. She won't, trying to pry out of me, where are you going tonight? She is the type of person, the only reason she got involved in this was to get me home on time and to improve conditions.
Kept you late now.
The
So
railroad,
that's funny, 'cause my wife would object to that, and wanted to
I know.
the city.
That doesn't sound perfect.
she wasn't interested in any glory. When she finished the job, the Democratic Party asked her to serve, to run for supervisor in the town. She said,
She run now?
Yeah, what's she doing now?
she said, I'm really not interested. I just wanted to improve the commuting in the town. And she never wanted any honors. And but I thought it would be a great thing because she dedicated a lot of years to this. And it's up to the town. It'd just be a wonderful thing for her.
It's also consistent, when I said when we met, it's almost like full circle, you know, her activism is something that this town can really, appreciate, and it's not even so much what she accomplished, it's the way she accomplished it with her activism, and that's something I think many people in this town can relate to and appreciate is her activism.
And that's without social media, that's basically her own 2 feet,
Right.
walking and her mouth talking.
Right.
Much more difficult task.
And lobbying with government, every level of government. She went to Washington with Al Del Bello once.
Yeah,
So whatever you wanna do, it'd be terrific.
I think we should do something.
Somewhere.
We'll discuss in executive session,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
if you decide to do something, maybe there could be, the Chappaqua Historical Society could put up a little blue sign just saying something about what Ronnie did.
Yeah.
God bless and
Thank you for
happy
coming.
Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you so much, Fred, thank you for your
so much.
patience, thank you so much. Although, your patience is nothing compared to your wife, so. It starts an extra hour, big deal.
She's also much better looking than I am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
See, I felt bad when I met him, because first of all, I did think he lived here, and he slept all the way from the city. And then after I met him, I'm like, alright, this is a waste, you gotta meet everybody, because there's nobody who can tell the story as well as he can, you know.
No, it's
Yeah.
fabulous.
Okay, so, ready to move on to our next item, we will pick that up in executive session.
I'm not sure if there's pink or brown, but there's pinkish ones.
Okay, there are many revised policies in here, for the board to review, but one I wanted to bring to your attention was the newly drafted tuition policy. that we had spoken about
Not
last time.
unsurprisingly, I have feedback.
I'm glad, that's why it's here.
So a couple things, upon request, so I think we ought to put together an application and that the person ought to have the endorsement of the department head in order to be able to.
That's fine, I
Okay.
just
That
originally
works.
said
It makes it sound
the
as
town
though-
shall pay,
It makes
and
it
I
sound
thought.
It
like
makes
a
it sound
blank.
as though, yes,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
right.
No,
And
no,
the other
that's fine.
thing is, one half of these costs, I would say up to one half, because I think it also depends on the kind of program that you're in. So, we may be willing to pay one half of a, community college course or a state college course. We may not wanna pay one half of a private college, private, college course, so all college courses don't cost the same amount of money, right?
Or is it one half up to X amount of dollars?
Yes.
Or is it-
So we
just
were
up to
trying
one
to,
half. It's-
well,
it's-
okay, so, but it's on half and then the other half is upon successful completion, is the rest of the
So you're
sentence.
gonna pay the whole thing?
That, so this mirrors the union contract. That was the point of it, this is what we do now.
And we don't have a
We were-
limit?
Yeah. And we don't have that many people to take advantage of it. But the point was, the point of the policy was that if we paid for someone's tuition, that we wanted them to stick around a little while or to reimburse us. We didn't wanna be in a situation
Well,
where.
that's the other thing,
Yeah,
I
right.
actually think 5 years is a little onerous because
Okay.
people have to have, we're a small town and people have to have opportunities for advancement, people who've gotten their, made the investment to go to school even if we're paying for it.
I think it needs to be, I think we have to have a
what do
limit
you
of
think?
dollars.
I think it should be
2
short of
years.
long.
That seems short,
Ooh, that seems short
that
to
seems
me.
short.
This is a long time.
No, it's not if I'm,
Seems
not if I'm
short.
putting out 30 grand,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
which
well,
I'm giving you the
right,
ability
right.
to earn a better living, and that's terrific, and do your job better, that's great. And giving you free money for you to leave in 2 years and then take advantage of it elsewhere, then we have to start over again?
Look, nobody's making them stay, we're just saying if you leave, you have to reimburse us.
anywhere they wanna go?
Well, they have to be working here, so, yeah, so it would be night. And we've had very, very few people take advantage of one in the past.
But I think 2 years is too little.
Well, I mean, if it's the,
I actually think 5 is appropriate. It doesn't mean they have to stay, it just means they can leave, they just would need to.
Maybe prorate maybe that balance of that amount over 5
But
years.
so what happens
Yeah,
if
Yeah,
you
and
very
maybe pro-
Nick was
what?
just
Yeah, that concern me, the balance is, do a phasing,
Yeah.
Right,
100% years 1 to 3, year 4, 50,
Right.
or 75.
So what happens
Yeah, I'm
if
good
your
with that.
department head says, you know what, I want you to take these courses to get this kind of a certification and the town's going to pay for you to do that. So you're encouraged by your department head to do that. So then you go and you do that and you take these classes and you get reimbursed for them. But it wasn't your idea to go in the first
Right,
place, and then within 3 years you wanna leave, and all of a sudden you owe the town the money?
Yes, you walk out with a,
Yeah, we got the.
with
You walk
a
out
great
with
credentials,
right, that's gonna
experience.
let you get hired
To
for
go
more
to
money
another
somewhere
town
else.
and make still
Or
public
not.
sector salary?
Well, yeah, well, listen, I mean, respectfully, there's some real, we've got over the salary, there's some real bumps that people have gotten and can get. So whether it's 20,000 or, I mean, making up numbers doesn't make a difference, but that's real money. And then it's not even so much that, we then have to start over again. And then we have to invest potentially in someone else with getting that education. So to say that you can leave in 2 years, it's also an opportunity cost for us as well. So we should encourage people to get better themselves, which betters the town, but they have to owe us something in return, owe us meaning,
I just
you know,
think you
have
need
a
to be
commitment.
very clear with them up front then about the strings attached, and they need
Well,
to
that's
have
why
the
I mean, that's why
opportunity.
we-
That's
And
why
then they have
they're,
to have the opportunity to say no to their department head and say, well, no, I'm sorry, that I don't
Okay,
wanna be
then
locked
when-
into having to reimburse the town for $30,000 if I get a better job offer.
okay, I don't know of anyone who was forced ever,
Forced, but
well, but that's what you're saying, I mean, this is,
well, wasn't Julia Golden encouraged by Jerry Morshall to pursue
yes.
her studies?
So encouraged, if she didn't want to go, she didn't have to go,
This wasn't forced.
she wasn't forced.
No, I'm not saying she was forced to do it, but if she's so encouraged to do something like that, or someone in that position is encouraged to do something like that, they need to go in with eyes wide open that if they accept this gift from the town,
That's fair.
That's
they
why we
are
have the
That's
they
what
are
you're right.
literally
So-
wearing the golden handcuffs
Right.
for the
Oh,
next
yeah, but
5
that's-
years.
isn't
That's
that
not
standard?
true, I think,
So-
I think
so there's
you're
two different
overstating
scenarios
it.
here.
I think you're
One
overstating it.
is-
Somebody
But-
who earned a higher income.
But yeah, you
and had an asset
you're
that
getting
they
an
had before.
advance,
Doesn't the army do that and police also do? They send people
Yeah,
to law
Rot-
school, then you have to work for,
ROTC and then
a
you
lot
have
of
to go.
people like to do that. You have to give them a certain amount of years of service after, it's part of the deal.
If you don't want, we don't need to do a reimbursement policy, we can leave it just the way it is,
No,
which
I
is
think we
anyone's entitled
should
to go
have
to
a
school,
reimbursement policy.
and
'Cause-
they leave when they leave.
No, I don't think that's fair. We shouldn't
also-
have to pay for someone and they'll get an advanced degrees or qualifications and then they get it paid for and 3 months later they leave.
And
Well,
not
but
only
then,
that,
but then I
or-
think it needs to be, but then, that's fine, but then it ought to be an application, then you're submitting an application because you're asking the town to sponsor
gonna have
you
an
for that.
application.
Well,
Oh, okay, then we'll
I
take
think I think we need to reconsider this as, you know, as a benefit that people can then apply for.
Okay, I have to tell you.
And with an application
Right,
process.
so the other thing
All
is
of this
this.
information,
I
that's
mean,
fine
you
for
don't-
people.
Yeah,
It's not-
it's a contract.
Yeah.
So,
They gotta
so,
sign
This
a
would be
contract.
attached to the application.
yeah, absolutely, so there's only one person right now on staff who's taken advantage of this, who's currently taking advantage of this. So if you want to make an exception for that one person because they took reimbursement without knowing that they were going to be.
Oh, I definitely
Oh,
think we
yeah,
need
yeah,
to, yeah.
But going
you have
forward,
to.
you may take whatever courses you want and not ask the town to pay for it, and you can leave it at
Right,
any
if you
point in
want the
time,
town to pay
Sure,
for it, that's a
but-
contract.
you know,
I
No,
do
no.
like the prorating though.
that's fine,
You know, 1 to 3 years, you have to reimburse 100%.
that's fine.
3 to 4, you know, in their 4th year.
That was actually one of the suggestions, I thought this was
50%,
easier, and I was
you know.
trying to,
5th
we
year,
were trying to
nothing
simplify,
or
but
something.
And by the way, something we didn't talk about, but I think we all know that it could happen is, not only do they get the education, they increase their marketability. So not only can they now walk to get a higher paying job, or they can stay and basically force us to pay a high paying job. So now we pay for their education and now we're forced to give them a huge bump in salary to retain them. If we just
They're not
agreed with them at
huge
the beginning.
salaries, though, I mean,
No, but the
public
point
sector
is,
salaries.
if we agreed to them at the beginning, that they sign a contract that says they have to stay a certain amount of time, we're not then basically, I mean, we're in a terrible position right now. We pay for their salary, we have no way to keep them here. In fact, we actually have to
We're not gonna
we have to pay more to keep them here, which it should be the exact opposite.
Was the example of the water
Why
treatment
would it be
plant, we had
the
folks at the
opposite?
water
They
treatment
actually
plant who were
have
getting
a
different skill
increased
sets than
skill
moving
set.
on.
Because we
by
pay for the
mistake.
salary, and not only
Yeah,
do
but
we pay
we're
for the
paying for
salary,
their
you don't have
education.
student
Yeah,
loans.
we're
If you pay, if your student,
Yeah,
if your
so
salary's
we're going
$30,000,
to keep our own
very few
talent.
people are paying $30,000.
Invest in our
That's gonna be like
talent.
$60,000 in student loans. It's a huge benefit for them.
yeah, it is usually, and it is one of those things
Right,
that we
you're not taking
offer.
into
We don't wanna be a
Because-
training
Yeah,
ground,
the
where we're
interest,
basically
you don't
paying
pay
for their
30,000,
education,
we'll pay
then
much
they
more
walk
than
out the
that.
door.
Nick, have you
Right,
seen?
we'd like people to stay because it, and we'd like to be able to attract quality people because this is something we do offer
Right.
people.
What about in lieu of the 100%, 50%, just if it's 5 years you're staying, it's a fifth, you know, first year is 100%, then,
80 and
yeah, right, do the math, and that's another way to look at it too, so last year they only owe a fifth of what they was out.
I mean, the police have the same thing,
I don't
where there's
understand, like, you're
reimbursement
very
for training
distraught over this. I
costs
think-
if you leave.
Yeah, I just, I don't know.
Cuomo just enacted
The whole
it with the
thing makes
college
me a little-
education, you have to work in New
Why
York.
are we paying 100% of
The
people?
Peace
You
Corps
take
students.
That's a
Right.
separate issue, if it's already that's a separate issue.
Well, I, again,
Well, then they're
it's
grandfathered.
hard-
Because it
it's
goes
hard
back to your
pull
theory,
back
but it goes
in.
back to your theory, if someone is not making a huge salary to get an education that may be expensive, they're gonna have to take loans. And now they don't have to do that, it's 0%, it's no finance, it's no issue. It's not about their credit, it's not about an application, it's, we want you here.
Yeah.
So there's benefits, there's
No,
tremendous
I mean,
benefits.
the city of New York paid my graduate school, so I'm familiar with this. There was no 5-year.
There shouldn't,
Okay, but
They got their money's worth.
but they might not have with somebody else, easily could have taken that.
Right.
That's a little
that
presumptuous, they got their money's
degree
worth,
and
not for nothing. I mean,
okay,
I mean,
Don't
not
quote
to
me
toot-
on that.
Not to toot my own horn or
Okay.
anything.
Move on.
okay, change orders, you're gonna notice that there are 2 change orders, one for surveying services, and one for stormwater backflow valves, okay. The stormwater backflow valves was something that was included in the WSP plans, but was never included as a pay item on the bid sheet. So like the culvert over here, it wasn't included in the bid, it was included, yes, we're just adding it to the list.
Is that our error, is it their error, whose error
It's
is it?
WSP's error.
So
for the
isn't
bid
there
documents.
consequences for their,
Somebody's
Talk
responsible.
part of
Yeah, we
the,
talked about that in,
we'll talk about that in executive session.
okay, but the answer is yes.
Yes, so
Yeah, this is
the
not
backflow valves are $19,000 and change, and the surveying services, I think we're up to 27.
Good thing we had a $500,000 grant.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
very true.
Again, the surveying services are due to ADA compliance. The way the plans were set up with WSP is they were supposed to be field verified, which means that none of the grades were quite right until you got out into the field, which is why they're taking them so long. Now that they're doing the final grades for the sidewalks and the curbing, we all have to be ADA compliant, especially along New York State DOT roadways.
Yeah.
It's a big deal,
that covered
and
state?
we're on a hill, which makes it tremendously challenging. So we've been spending a lot of time with surveying services to make sure that we're doing it right. Okay, so you'll get two of those. The dual stream sanitation stickers, they would like permission to be able to take and print these, Lauren, did we?
I admittedly did not look at the.
Oh, the last couple pages?
But I just trust
Here,
someone
it's
who,
in here, I
I
just
trust
saw it.
whoever's judgment on a sticker is a sticker.
Yeah,
Oops.
so,
But
yeah,
they're
what-
actually putting stickers on people's garbage cans.
Okay, so yes, and
they-
Christina raised a really,
$100 on.
yeah, so Christina raised that very same point, which I raised with
Yeah.
them, which is, I hope these stickers are gonna come out off easily, because nothing's gonna
They're not gonna come off easily.
Well,
And the ones that keep the bears out are $250 for a stupid garbage can.
I think, honestly, I do think they will come off easy though, because
They peel off.
yeah,
They're supposed to put them on the edges only so that they come off, the other, as opposed to, and they're not
I'm sure they're
supposed
gonna
to-
be very careful, they're usually so careful.
Yeah, but they went on
The
plastic,
plastic bags?
yeah, they went on the
My
plastic.
garbage is
so
always,
it's bright
none of
green.
it's ever on the
So it
street
didn't
or
matter.
anywhere.
January 1.
1st.
Okay,
Gotta
so
be on
this
top
is
of that
sad,
message
yeah.
before
There's no
Christmas
way
and-
they're sticking it on, I mean, look,
We
they're
need
not
the SAP
careful, there's
to,
garbage all
put
over the
some
place
education,
after they come, nobody's carefully putting
So
it on the
these will go out in
corners.
the mailing?
Yes, those are gonna go out in the mailing, so the brown and white are gonna be for the cardboard and paper, and the blue and white are gonna be for the plastic cans and glass.
We'll get the word out,
What's
I mean,
that for?
we got it, I went
That
through
goes
this.
on your garbage can.
I don't
So
particularly
that
care, as
you
long,
are separating out the paper and the plastic from your clean commingled bottles, cans,
So
and
we're
glass.
spending money on this so someone can
This is-
organize their own.
That's because they currently have single stream.
No, I know why.
Right, so
but I
Santa
mean-
Pro is paying for the.
Oh, okay.
We'd like them to go out in the mailing with the with
Great.
your calendars.
Good.
So we'd like to get the board's approval on them so we can get them out, so that people can
Sorry,
take it.
I
no
just
more
worry
single
about
stream.
these
But look,
oops
you got
things.
stickers.
I worry about those oops ones. People are gonna be.
Yeah, we may have to
Really
talk about the
pissed.
oops
so
ones,
let
and I
them,
just don't know what
ask,
to do.
and Nick, and this is
Okay.
a question, if they don't come off, I mean, it's property, obviously it's property, but it's also a
What-
garbage can. What, is someone gonna, thing you
Yes.
have to pay for, hold on, I don't know, what's the response, you will have to pay for my garbage can? I mean, what's the response?
It's
It's
just
still a
like a-
workable garbage can, it's not like it
Right,
doesn't
right, it
work.
hasn't taken
Doesn't
away
matter.
its
You're
purpose,
destroying their property.
But you diminish its value at best,
Yeah.
and it still serves its
Well-
function and its purpose, so.
So we have an easy solution.
Right.
Let's ask Santa Pro to send us some of those whoop stickers they used that begin 2
We'll
years ago.
test them on my trash can.
Yeah, we will, we can test them on the trash cans. Now, those, they were stuck on the side of a plastic bag, so it's
Right.
different. But we can see how it sticks to the garbage can. I don't personally think it's gonna, I think it's gonna be the type of thing that just comes right off. The ones that they actually come on it when you buy it is different. That's attached with
Those
like,
come off.
because
Did Michael talk about
sometimes
Those are
they,
like-
some.
Alright, so just
Laminate.
raise the issue,
Laminate.
let's move on, but let's just raise the issue.
Because these things,
Okay.
the
Are you
reason it's
glad
gonna
you
come
said,
off
look,
easy
this
is
is what we
because
deal with in this town,
it's a
these are
very
important
cautious,
issues.
yes, we can really dive into
I
these
want you to
issues.
call some people to come to fight the sticker ban, like the sticker.
But it's,
Alright,
the reason is, it's not a smooth surface, and that's why it's not gonna stick so good.
but the sticks are well, I think it's
Let's
well.
well.
Let's see. I
think it's
just
well.
think we're gonna get a lot of
Let's do a
complaints.
little research on this.
Okay,
Right, we got these-
Tell them what it's in
Plastic
hyphen
and it's gonna
adhesive.
come off, but
Next.
that would be
Right.
something that would make me think.
This is
Wasn't there
same-
some, oops, there it is.
okay,
Yes, me too.
so
That's
on
fine.
administrative items, we have the a corrected resolution for the summer camp transportation, the awarded bid, and then we have a couple things that were dropped from it that shouldn't have been.
Okay.
We also have a resolution for the authorization to use town property for the community center.
You guys
for
are all
the Menora.
invited for the first day. What is it, December 2nd, the first thing? I
Yeah.
guess so, right?
Oh, and here we go. So the proposed local law with regard to motorized leaf blowers, SAP has asked us to adjourn any further discussion until they have an opportunity to meet with members of the industry and the New York State Turf and
Sounds reasonable to me.
Lawn Landscapers Association and, just get more information.
That's a good idea.
So the question I've got for council is whether or not we're better off just keeping it on the agenda and continuing to adjourn it, or are we better off
Picking a
closing it and then taking and reopening it? I am concerned about all the comments that we got initially. I think people would still wanna be heard and I would want those comments to be incorporated,
So
so
all those comments you've received are still part of the record because you're still considering the local law.
Okay.
So if you can't adjourn it without a date, 'cause
Right.
then you'd have to renotice it.
Right.
So you can either close it and then when you're ready for it, you renotice it for a new date. And renotice is the publication in the newspaper and posting it, or you adjourn it to a specific date. Those are your two options. The
And we
record
can
still
adjourn it
remains
to
open.
a specific date and then adjourn it again
Yeah.
on that date to
You can,
another date.
yes.
Yes, why don't we do that, just sort of keep it alive and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just
I think
bat
if we
it down the
close
road.
it,
Okay.
people are gonna get nervous,
Yeah,
then
but
they
here's-
think that we're done.
So it's currently on for December 4th, is that correct?
Yeah.
Alright, so then I have to bring my new book with me from now on.
And on the agenda in advance, we can state anticipation further adjournment to.
Right, because I don't want people,
That way the public knows that it's not
waiting
gonna
on
be a
that.
Right, it's
substantive
adjourned out
discussion.
till like the end of January or something, give ourselves plenty of time.
Okay, so public hearing, okay, so let's keep it on for the 4th then,
Okay.
and we'll do it with an adjourn date of the 4th, Tuesday in.
22nd.
Oh, you already
January
booked it?
22nd, yep.
So great,
So
Of
we're anticipating the
But
adjournment
why
date.
do we
Right.
need to
Okay.
adjourn it all the way until the end of January?
because we want to give SAB an opportunity to meet with everybody,
And there are holidays coming up, I don't know.
yeah.
It's a long time.
And it also allows you to workshop it if you,
That's a lot of time. I'll expect greatness.
Okay, okay,
Well,
I'll pass
like
that
Nick said,
along.
we can workshop, we usually don't have meetings the last 2 weeks of December anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
and I
so
just don't think that
we
by
don't have that many
the
meetings
4th,
left this year.
And we have New Year's
Okay.
Day on the 1st.
But maybe we could ask them for an interim work product.
Yeah, and see
something
how we're
like
doing,
that.
yeah.
We
Some
can still
update.
talk to them internally, it's just we're just not having a public hearing on it.
It's just, I don't think they would have had their first meeting by December 4th, so I don't know that they're gonna be in a position to.
What we should do
Tell us
is,
what
We
Yeah.
only meet once a month.
not to state
Good.
not to state the obvious, but what we should also do is, the next time the new version of the draft legislation, it should be something that we all somewhat feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
As opposed to putting out legislation that, well, we know we're gonna get public
gonna
comment,
change. Right.
let's just hear what people have to say, and then we'll change it after.
Right.
Because,
so you'll workshop it before.
Yeah.
we've shot a couple
Yeah.
times.
Yes.
We did that once, we tried that.
So we should let the SAB know adjourn to the 22nd with anticipation that probably 2 weeks before that, you're gonna workshop it.
So that would be January what?
You'll
2
workshop
weeks
it.
before would be, well, the work sessions would be the 15th and the 2nd, but that's the second's our organizational
Yeah,
meeting.
so how about the
15th?
15th, okay?
It may not be a bad idea, I know the SAB is reaching out to those people. Some people had suggested that we form a little committee. I know that,
That's alright, go.
it's, no, but I actually thought of myself, like, we don't need any more committees. But some people suggested we form a committee, it doesn't have to be an official committee, but it could just be a group of people, industry people, landscapers, well, that's industry, but,
Yeah, why don't we see how SAB.
I don't know if we need a committee.
The turnaround time for that, to think, unless they wanna do it on their own, the turnaround time to do that, to get people.
I don't mean like appointed, but maybe some of the people who have strong opinions about it, get
If anyone
everybody
here has an
involved.
idea, would like to start something like that, we're all ears.
Well, the point is, there are some people,
I
I'm
don't
not just talking
understand
about,
though, we have a committee, we have the SCB and they have a working group within the SAB who's
but
been
it's,
working
it's,
on
I
it.
think what
it's
he's
only a
saying,
couple of people,
it's
it's only
also
been
a
a couple
balance
of
of
people
different people
within
and
the
different
SAB.
perspectives.
But they should be bringing people in, right?
They
That
should.
should actually be a
They
part of
should.
what they're doing.
That's what I'm suggesting,
Yes.
I'm not saying I don't mean
Yeah.
that we form a committee. I'm saying that there should be a committee formed, it could be their
We
committee.
encourage SAB.
That basically they should bring in a whole bunch of people, not just industry people, they should look at all the public comments. And I'm including, Jim here also, but the fact is they should look at all the people who have, put a lot of public comments into it, invested a lot of time, bring them in, get them into the room and try to hammer something out that, get everybody's opinion and try to hammer something out that people feel comfortable with. And then come back to us with a product that a lot of people have signed off on. And then, hopefully we'll sign off on it as well. I just think that's the best approach. It's obviously stirring a lot of passions in people, and there's people that are willing to invest a lot of time in it. So I just think we should try to use those people's, like, we should include them in the
So let's
process.
just make sure, let's just encourage SAB to do that.
Right, definitely.
After all the policy.
Alright,
Okay.
what's next?
Next.
I think that's it for our work session, and we're ready to go into our town board meeting.
We staying here, we going in there?
No, we're just staying here.
Alright,
Alright, so I move to adjourn our work session?
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, welcome everybody to the town board meeting. Tuesday, Jim, this is really, you're really seeing this as, complicated stuff here. The way we segue, I don't know if you noticed that. So now welcome to our town board meeting of Tuesday, November 20th, 2018. And what do we got here? We have some
Regarding proposed local and active moratorium for the Chapel Business District.
okay, public hearing. So this is a continuation of a public hearing from November 13th, 2018 regarding a proposed law regarding enacting a moratorium for the Chapel Business District. Do we have a motion to open the public
So
hearing?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Comments?
Any comments on the moratorium?
No one signed up to speak.
Good, any comments? No?
It's all about legal.
Alright. I
So,
move to, should we just move to adjourn it and keep, or do we?
Adjourn it or close it?
We're
Close it.
gonna vote on it.
You wanna leave it open for public comments, we
No,
usually
we
do
haven't
that.
had any, but I think
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should
times
take
you do it,
it
times
forward.
it happens, I
Yeah.
think this one, you have to receive.
But
I
it
think
doesn't
it's-
hurt to leave it open for public comment.
No, we're gonna vote on it
For
tonight,
writing.
though.
Or voting on it
Yeah.
tonight, yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So
we
we've
should do with the
received,
resolutions.
we should make sure that they're in the record is
that it?
the,
County.
Do we have to close it?
Right, so we did receive comments from the county planning board and the town
Right.
planning board, both of which noted they had no comments, and it's a matter for local consideration.
Yep,
So then just a motion to close the hearing.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we move on to our, well, it's a town board meeting, so we're gonna do public comment, I mean, I don't know,
If you have any comment, you can about the leaf blowers.
public comment on anything, okay. And we're not doing the supervisor's report, administrator's report, it's
Is that it?
next week we have another town board meeting,
Is
so.
that it?
yeah, well, no, we wanna talk about the authorization to release the RFP on zoning in the Chappaqua Hamlet. You have in your packets both the marked copy. Yeah, just really should,
So. I thought it was okay with the changes and
Yeah,
Ivy had a good suggestion, I'm gonna have that pre-conference meeting.
right.
And that's gonna be on December 12th we talked about. And so I'm good with it.
So we're gonna
Right,
take care
so
of
the
it today?
closing date,
Yeah.
right, for submitting questions is gonna be December 7th. We're gonna issue this actually on the Monday, is that correct, the 26th? Yeah, so this is gonna be issued on Monday, the 26th. We're gonna the closing date for submission of written comments is going to be December 7th. Let me see, there's going to be a pre-proposal conference on the 12th, and then written comments, answers to written comments are going to be on the 14th. And then ultimately, all responses are going to be due by January 11th of 2019, by close of business.
Very reasonable.
Okey-dokes. So on to our resolutions.
Anyone?
Alright, I move to adopt a local law regarding enactment of a moratorium pursuant to municipal home rule law, section 10, with respect to the review and approval of certain land use variance, building permit, and sign permit applications on certain properties within the town of Newcastle by means of amending chapter 48 building construction and fire prevention and chapter 60 zoning of the Newcastle Town Code and superseding the corresponding sections of the New York State Town Law as they apply to time periods, filing deadlines, and statutes of limitations for said applications.
Second.
they're backwards, that's why.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, I'm confused, I'm not even
I
seeing
just
where you're
started
reading
with
that
four.
from.
So it's
I started on number four.
Start with the
And it's just
last
stapled on the wrong side.
I started on number four, cause that's
Oh, you
what it
started
said
on number
first,
four.
because it said authorization first there.
Okay.
I started
So
five.
many-
Okay,
backwards.
so Lisa, I'm sorry, who
Okay.
seconded it?
I did.
So we're doing 5 now?
No, I'll go back to
We're
one.
really not making a good, really not making a good, usually,
He doesn't know, if you didn't
usually
say
we do.
anything, he would never know that we were going out of
Usually we don't mess
order.
up the order, seriously, Martin, you're our witness, right?
I move to hire
Well-oiled machine here.
Sharon Chione as a part-time parking enforcement officer effective November 26, 2018, at the rate of $19 an hour for 17 and a half hours per week. This new hire fills a vacancy and is contingent upon successful completion of fingerprints and pre-employment medical exam.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm skipping this one.
Just give me
Yeah.
two.
Yep.
So now we're flipping to 3. Alright, go for it. Me? No, you, no.
Somebody.
Oh, I move to adopt the following resolution to authorize the transfer of funds from certain expendable trust accounts. Whereas the town has currently open balances in expendable trust accounts that are no longer active, and whereas expendable trust accounts are used when money is accepted, usually through donations for a specific purpose, and whereas the town controller wishes to transfer the remaining balances from these special purpose trust accounts to various town accounts which relate to the original intended purpose of each account in order to close out each expendable trust account. And whereas the town controller requests authorization to transfer the remaining balances associated with the following accounts into the highway fund, because these projects were originally funded by the highway department, as listed in the resolution. And whereas the town controller requests authorization to transfer the remaining balances associated with the following accounts into the park planning trust, because these projects, as listed in the resolution, are all related to parks and recreation. And lastly, whereas the town controller requests authorization to transfer the remaining balances associated with the following accounts as listed in the resolution into the expendable trust entitled Concert Series, which is used to help fund the town's summer concerts. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town controller to transfer the remaining balances from the expendable fund accounts as specified herein.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just wrote 5, we're going 5, right. I move to approve the payment of claims amount of $137,056.13 listed on the summary pre-check writing report in detail. Voucher detail report each prepared on November 18, 2018. Checks will be issued and mailed to each claimant listed on Wednesday, November 21st, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
I move to approve the following resolution as amended. Award 2018 Summer Camp Transportation to Chapel Transportation Incorporated. And you appreciate that I go quickly, so it's done much earlier. Located out of 30 Hunts Lane, Chapel, New York, 10514, at a cost per bus rate in accordance with the schedule below, which was originally adopted April 10, 2018. Whereas the town, oh, is that the right?
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now for their resolve, but sure. Aye.
Okay.
It's there.
Wait, no, we,
Number
You
7.
read it.
Number 7.
Yeah, no, because it's all
And
confusing,
read
it's
it all.
flipped on the right.
No,
that is a new one.
Okay, I move to authorize payment in the amount of
Is that a order?
$10,200 to Chappaqua Transportation Inc. for busing services for students from Grafflin, Roaringbrook, and West Orchard Elementary Schools enrolled in after-school programs at the Newcastle Art and Community Centers for the winter, spring, and fall 2018 program seasons. Should none of that be 2019?
2018, 2019, yeah.
2018 and 2019
yes.
program seasons. For this service, the town charges participating residents $5 per ride per child for each program season, and Chappaqua Transportation provides the service to the town at cost.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to allow the Chabad of Armonk, Chappaqua, and Pleasantville to display a menorah in front of the Newcastle Community Center from December 2nd to 14th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I move to authorize release of a request for proposals, RFP, for rezoning of the Chappaqua Hamlet.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And
I move
change
to authorize
orders.
the promotion of Jonathan Marcondes to the position of Parks Foreman within the Recreation and Parks Department at the annual salary of $75,402.73.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to authorize posting the position of Assistant Parks Foreman, which will become vacant by the promotion of Jonathan Marcondes within the Recreation and Parks Department. The annual salary range for this position will be $57,311.54 to $78,610.93 based upon the GSEA contract that will be subject to probationary period of 52 weeks.
My only question, can someone really be an assistant and make more than the foreman?
Yes, because of the steps.
Huh, that's interesting. Alright,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that the last one or is there another one?
And the change orders
Where
are
is it?
next
We're gonna do
week,
that next week, what was the
next
ones?
week.
We're gonna do that,
next
oh,
week.
Discover.
NC, no, can we do
Oh,
NCCMC?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I authorize the town supervisor to enter into a contract with NCCMC for a total of $2,000 per month to be paid on a quarterly basis for a period of 12 months with 2 6-month renewals effective November 30th, 2018.
Is it
November
effective?
21st.
I will give you a,
I don't know.
That was great.
That was unbelievable.
that was good. Tim was sending you out with like, that was good, that was impressive.
Actually, no, this is normal. This is what I always like. That was more what it's like every week.
Is that right, was the date right?
Yeah.
Second,
Wait, no, what was the date
November
though?
21st.
Today's date? Oh, I thought it was tomorrow's date, okay.
alright, second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Do we have to resolve for him to, well, we did, okay, we're good.
Move to adjourn?
Good?
Anything else?
Do I need to sign the contract? Is there something that authorizes me to sign the contract or anything like that, or no?
Yeah, I think
Actually, yeah, that's okay, it's fine, okay.
I move to
gonna
adjourn?
ask.
I'll just change the name. Yeah, we're good.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.